People don't buy what they need, they buy what they feel. Neuromarketing research reveals that about 95% of purchasing decisions happen unconsciously, shaped by emotions, intuition, and subtle cues in the environment. In fact, even background music in a store can push customers toward a particular product without them ever realizing it. These hidden influences are powerful, and businesses that understand them can shape consumer choices in ways traditional marketing often misses. In just minutes, you'll learn 3 research-backed triggers, defaults, framing, and music that Fortune 500 companies use to outsmart conventional strategies. But before we get to those tools, it's important to understand why so many customer decisions seem to defy logic in the first place. If you're new here, please subscribe and like, because I share tips to help you improve your career. The idea that consumers act as purely rational decision makers is one of the biggest myths in business. As Herbert Simon noted, the notion of an all-knowing, perfectly rational econ breaks down when we study real behavior. Traditional economic theory assumes people always weigh costs and benefits to maximize value, but this rarely matches what happens in the marketplace. Take the ultimatum game, a classic experiment first explored by Kahneman and Tversky. One person proposes how to split a sum of money, the other can accept or reject the offer. Rationally, any amount is better than nothing, so every offer should be accepted. In reality, people routinely reject offers they see as unfair, sacrificing their own gain just to punish perceived injustice. This isn't about logic, it's about emotion and social norms. Much of what drives brand choice happens below the surface. As Americus Reed points out, our subconscious is constantly scanning for identity signals, cues that tell us a brand aligns with who we are or want to be. That's why impulse buys at the checkout counter often happen without a calculated assessment of value. Instead, subtle environmental cues and emotional associations shape our choices before we even realize a decision is being made. Retailers have learned to harness these tendencies. Placing high-margin products at eye level, using specific scents, or carefully choosing background music are all tactics designed to influence the subconscious. For example, in one study, playing French music in a wine store tripled the sales of French wine compared to German selections, even though the only thing that changed was the soundtrack. Customers believed they were making an independent choice, but their perceptions were shaped by cues they barely noticed. Pricing strategies also exploit these patterns. Research shows that round numbers, like $5 instead of $4.99, signal premium quality, while prices ending in 0.99 suggest a bargain. This small change can alter how a product is perceived, even if the difference is only a penny. The reality is that consumers follow patterns, just not the ones classical economics predicted. By understanding the psychological and emotional triggers behind these decisions, businesses can shape outcomes in ways that logic alone never could. This sets the stage for a new approach, designing marketing strategies that tap directly into the unconscious mind. If you're finding this helpful, please subscribe and like, because it helps us create content that matters to you. Also, if you want to take your skills further, check out our executive education and executive coaching programs at execbeat.com. Understanding these unconscious drivers is at the heart of the neuromarketing playbook. Neuromarketing goes beyond surface-level preferences, using behavioral economics and neuroscience to uncover what truly shapes consumer behavior. Companies employ tools like fMRI and eye tracking to measure brain activity, attention, and emotional responses that consumers themselves can't articulate. For example, Frito-Lay used brain imaging to discover that people actually enjoyed the messiness of Cheetos dust, a detail that traditional surveys would have missed entirely. Pricing is one of the most effective levers. Crash Course Economics points out that consumers often rate the same wine as more pleasant when it's presented at a higher price, regardless of its actual quality. The difference between $499.99 and $500 may seem trivial, but it can shift perceptions of value and quality. Whole dollar amounts are often linked to premium positioning, while precise decimals can signal a discount. This subtle framing is why luxury brands avoid the psychological pricing tactics common in mass-market retail. Environmental cues also play a significant role. Google's A/B testing, as highlighted in Crash Course Economics number 27, revealed that a specific shade of blue on ad links increased clicks and generated $200 million in additional revenue. Amazon found that even minor improvements in page load speed resulted in $1.7 billion in extra sales, according to Neuromarketing research. These examples show that small, targeted changes, when they align with unconscious preferences, can lead to major financial impact. Loss aversion, a principle identified by Kahneman and Tversky and discussed in Crash Course number 27, shows that people respond more strongly to potential losses than to equivalent gains. For instance, shoppers react more to a 5-cent tax on plastic bags than to a 5-cent bonus for bringing their own. Marketers leverage this by framing offers to highlight what customers might lose if they don't act, rather than what they could gain. Reframing can turn perceived flaws into selling points. Rory Sutherland describes how James Webb Young marketed hail-pitted New Mexico apples as authentic, high-altitude fruit, transforming imperfections into a scarcity advantage. Subtle visual cues also work. KFC embedded dollar bill imagery in burger ads to prime spending, while watch ads almost always display the time as 10:10 to mimic a smile and trigger positive feelings. What unites these strategies is that none rely on logical arguments about product superiority. They tap into automatic, subconscious processes that consumers follow without realizing. When businesses understand and apply these triggers, the results are both measurable and transformative, often at a scale that traditional marketing can't match. Let's look at the broader impact these behavioral insights have had across major industries. Top brands like Coke and Google routinely test pricing, music, and even color schemes to influence unconscious choices and drive measurable results. Google, for example, increased annual revenue by $200 million simply by adjusting its ad link colors, a clear illustration of the financial power of behavioral insights. For your next campaign, test research-backed tactics. Set smart defaults to encourage desired actions, use framing to shape value perceptions, and experiment with environmental cues like music or scent to guide choices. These strategies work because they align with how people actually make decisions, automatically and emotionally. By applying these research-backed nudges, you'll convert insights into higher margins without cutting prices or discounting your brand. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like because it helps us bring you more free videos. And if you're ready to grow your career, visit execbeat.com to learn about our executive education and coaching.